hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at optimistic.tv as well. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we go again. It is a fantabulous Friday here in the studio as I record, and I hope you are living life to the fullest whenever, wherever you are. Living your best apocalypse life, as I like to jokingly say these days. Bring a little levity to the situation in which we find ourselves. And, you know, one of the things that came up in a conversation with a friend the other day was, look, we were made for these times. You wouldn't be at this point in many of us, all of us really, in the prime of our lives, because that's a relative perspective, right? Here you are in the prime of your life, and everything that's in upheaval around the world, all the breaking down of old systems and the pandemic and all that stuff. It's exactly what you came for. And I want to encourage each and every one of you to remember that. You are made for this. You design this. You plan this as source, as one with everything, as God, as, you know, your higher self, the consciousness that is you and is me, and the separation, of course, between us being completely illusory. And I want to talk a little bit about that perspective today, this idea that you are everything, including the pandemic, including the bacteria, the virus, you know, itself that's causing all this quote unquote havoc out there. And like any bit of upheaval or havoc, there is great things that are birthed from it, such as you or I, right? We come from a star that once lived out its entire lifespan, had a spirit that animates it, right? Which is another extension or part of us, you, me, right? It lived not 75 years, 100 years. It lived billions of years. It had its adolescence. It had its infancy, its adolescence, its middle age. It had its senior years. Then it, in a violent explosion, passed on, right? And out of that chaos came the reformation of those atoms into a new planet that birthed anew and rose up. And out of that, from this new planet and new canvas and new stage, if you will, these atoms then came together, and eventually this process, still more in the middle of it, right? It rose up as you. So whenever you're looking around and you're seeing chaos, realize it's all a part of the grand plan. And if you can keep that center, in the center of your mind and heart, when you can become that calm in the eye of the storm, as I like to put it, then you're really navigating the way a true leader navigates and sees, the way a master views, right? A master embraces whatever shows up because they've realized it's exactly what they need to lead them to the next greatest and grandest version of themselves. So you are in the process of understanding and developing your mastery. And of course, Smooth seas never made for a skilled sailor, and you wanted to be a skilled sailor, right? Yeah, so let's all remember that, come together, unite, and embrace it all, and realize that we're it all. And when you really think about that, it's really wild when you think about this idea that I am every little thing. I've experienced every vantage point. This came up for me yesterday talking to my partner, Karen. We saw this funny, it's like a new frog has been discovered in Australia, I believe, if I recall, African rain frog. And the article is like, African rain frogs look like, I'm sorry, I'm confusing two stories. It wasn't newly discovered. There was a spider that was newly discovered that I saw in Australia. But this African rain frog I'd never seen before. And it's the little article says, African rain frogs look like little angry avocados. And they're hilarious looking. Truly, it looks like an avocado, kind of like that color when it's ripe, and kind of the little bumpies all over it. And then it's like got this like frowny face that's hilarious. And so, Karen and I got talking about it. And we're like, wow. At some point, Source was so bored, or not bored, maybe that's a bad way to put it, that wanted to experience things from such a different vantage point, it decided to become a little African rain frog that looks like an angry avocado, a grumpy avocado. And so we were just laughing, thinking about that, like all the vantage points, the soul's, the soul's journey, your pet, this is a fragment of Source. And of course, like any hologram, the whole, or a fractal, the whole is within the part, right? It's all in there. So the Source is completely taking itself, like the genie stuffing itself in the bottle, right? Down into this little grumpy avocado frog. And it's just a funny thing to think about, taking that journey, and that we've taken that journey, and we are taking that journey in some way, shape, or form, as it's all me, it's all you, it's all us, looking through a different lens and different vantage point. And here we are, the part of Source that is my guess, my hypothesis, if I had to bet on it, I would say the souls listening to this, comprehending this, have signed up at some point to go through all physicality and shows, and you've already been the little angry avocado frog, and the bacteria, and and the puppy, and the antelope, and the trees, and so as you sort of evolve through, and your consciousness gets more complex and able to sort of like we're doing on the show, right? We're the universe studying itself at this point, right? And who knows, maybe that African rain frog is doing the same thing and we just can't tell. But I imagine that consciousness is simpler, and it certainly behaves as if it's simpler. And I have yet to meet an African rain frog that can, build a Tesla, but you never know. You might be surprised. And so, it's at a certain point in its journey. It says, you know what? I've been it all. I've been, that God perspective, the all-seeing eye, and I want to see through the eyes of a little being, and evolve up through this game that I'll create. And it was so, we were geeking out on this. We were talking about this, and then and of course, divine synchronicity. I got a note from the universe today, and it addressed this very thing. So that was yesterday evening. We were, laughing and geeking out on this little frog and talking about this whole perspective and concept. And then first thing this morning, I got a note from the universe, which, by the way, you can sign up for them at tut.com, tut.com. Really fun and timely and synchronistical and all the things, right? Once you play with higher self or Source, in that way, open up the portal for, send me a note from the universe, and divine timing that, what do you know? It's talking about what I was just talking about. Surprise, surprise, right? That's a synchronicity that just opens up like crazy as you start to open up and see the bigger picture of who and what you are. And here, I'll read the note from the universe to you guys. For just a moment, Brandon, can you imagine that on the day the earth was created, I'd want to experience her in every imaginable form? Good. Now, can you imagine that when it came to creating the animals, I couldn't just pick one, but would want to soar through her skies, swim in her oceans, and burrow in her fields? Excellent. I had to be all of her animals to experience all of their secrets. So when it came to having dominion over all things, it must now be just as obvious that I had to be everyone. And I am the universe. And then the PS is, Brandon, I walk in your shoes every day. Isn't that cool that came on the back of this conversation? It's like, it's there, it's listening, it's aware, it's reflecting back, it's winking, winks from the universe. It's just incredible. It's so powerful what you are. It makes no sense to be caught up on the process of, the world's coming to an end. It's destructive. It's like, no, it's creating room for more magic. And yes, sometimes things have to fall away. Yes, sometimes a pandemic will happen. All by divine design, and everyone who is affected by it in the way that they're affected, whether they don't get it at all, whether they're just a little sick, whether they pass on to non-physical, are birthed back into non-physical, it's all by divine design. There's no victims. It's all happening for us, not to us. That is inspiring. I can get with that. I can deal with anything that comes up. I can deal with anything for, a short period of time, right? This too shall pass, whether you love it or whether you're not a fan of what's happening, this too shall pass. And both perspectives help. If you love what it is, be aware, be present, enjoy it, because this too shall pass, right? And that's the beauty of this existence, right? That's the beauty of all these powerful, unique moments. Treat, as Ram Dass said, as you navigate through your reality, treat everyone you meet like God in drag. You start doing that, you really are viewing. If you can keep that front and center in your awareness and give respect to all parts of God, right? It's like Hafiz said, everyone is God speaking. Why not be polite and listen to him? I love that one. It's so good, right? Why not be polite and listen to him? Why not be polite to the spider in your room and catch it and, release it? Why not be kind? Why not be loving? Whatever you're putting out, you're doing to an extension of self, and we'll feel the energetic repercussions of that. It has to be that way because it's all you. That's how energy flows. You're always doing it to yourself. People talk about this. You get caught up in the religious, the religious trap, as I like to refer to it. And I think of people like my father, or many of us were raised in that sort of mindset of like, oh, you better, get it right, or you're, going to be tortured for eternity. But God loves you. It's like, thanks, Dad, I guess. Couldn't you just torture me for 1 billion years? But anyway, and give me another chance. But, one of the things I love is I always talk about this too. Jesus, I believe, was just teaching the same stuff that I'm talking about right here and today, right now. Right? He was saying, I and the Father are one. With the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. When he was on trial to be killed for saying that he was God, what I'm saying right now, his last defense was, but in the Old Testament, in the old books that you judge and jury that I'm talking to right now, Pontius Pilate, I think was his name, isn't it written in the books that you go by? Ye are gods? And that was his last defense, was like referencing, he was just teaching this exact stuff. And of course, 2,000 years ago, that was a lot shadier to do. So that was a perspective that Source wanted to have. Now we're at a point where, hey, we can have a show like this and I can talk openly about it. And it's a beautiful thing, right? That's it. That's evolution. We're advancing. No one's coming to hang me on a cross. Thank goodness, right? So it is a beautiful, beautiful thing, this dream of life that we are all in. Don't let your story, your perspective, the story on the news, who was it that said, it was Timothy Leary who said, turn on, tune in, drop out. Tune out that, television that's if it's feeding you fear, drop out. Tune into something more. Tune into this perspective. And you're doing that if you're listening to this and not listening to some fear-mongering on TV right now. So congratulations. You are making a lot of progress, and I am proud of you. And I am so blessed to have this dream, this co-creative dream with each and every one of you. And as we sort of wind down here, I want to share a short clip here from Alan Watts, one of the great philosophers and teachers. I think he died in the 70s or maybe 80s, but this is called The Dream of Life. It's short, powerful, poetic, and he talks about the journey that Source took And I've shared this. It's been probably a couple years ago, so I felt like it was a good time to bring it back. Take a listen.
If you awaken from this illusion, and you understand that black implies white, self implies other, life implies death, or shall I say, death implies life, you can feel yourself not as a stranger in the world, not as something here on probation, not as something that has arrived here by fluke, but you can begin to feel your own existence as absolutely fundamental. I'm not trying to sell you on this idea in the sense of converting you to it. I want you to play with it. I want you to think of its possibilities. I'm not trying to prove it. I'm just putting it forward as a possibility of life to think about. So then, let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And that you could, for example, have the power within one night to dream 75 years of time, or any length of time you wanted to have. And you would naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, you would fulfill all your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure you could conceive. And after several nights of 75 years of total pleasure each, you would say, well, that was pretty great. But now let's have a surprise. Let's have a dream which isn't under control. Well, something is going to happen to me that I don't know what it's going to be. And you would dig that and come out of that and say, wow, that was a close shave, wasn't it? Then you would get more and more adventurous, and you would make further and further out gambles as to what you would dream. And finally, you would dream where you are now. You would dream the dream of living the life that you are actually living today. That would be within the infinite multiplicity of choices you would have, of playing that you weren't God. Because the whole nature of the Godhead, according to this idea, is to play that he's not. So in this idea then, everybody is fundamentally the ultimate reality, not God in a politically kingly sense, but God in the sense of being the self, the deep down basic whatever there is. And you're all that, only you're pretending you're not.
And that's where you are now in the game, going further and further out on the cutting edge of reality and creation. We are in the process of birthing a new world that looks very different than the one that we've come from, and you are the cutting edge of that. It is so important that you anchor your vibration, you hold your vision, you focus on what you want to see more of. Don't let the fear take you down. Choose consciously every day to set your vibrational tone. Check in with yourself every hour and find a process like my guest on next week's Soul Share talks about. Every hour he tunes in. Where am I at? What am I focusing on? Recalibrate, reset, and get into those sorts of habits. Burn those neural pathways in the brain that becomes your default, your norm, and watch how your life transforms as a result of you claiming your power, your divinity. So I thought for the first time today, I would maybe play my good friend D-Rock the Menace, who, by the way, for Optimistic, we did an epic music video. It's the only episode we shot that we made. Instead of just on the optimistic stage, we did a music video throughout the Mystic Manor, and it's so cool. Of course, we'll be releasing that when it comes out on the show, but yeah, he's amazing. D-Rock's a good friend. And I was like, oh, I haven't played a D-Rock song in a long time. Maybe I'll play a D-Rock song. And then at first song that came up was with him in a collaboration from someone I hadn't ever heard of, B. the God. And I was like, oh, of course, having this conversation. And I listened to it and the song's cool. And then I listened to another new one called What is Life? Right? Appropriate. And I really liked What is Life. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. This song, and I hope you enjoy. Till next time, journey well. Love you so, so much. And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
What is life without risk? I just won't stay in my flow. Abundance is what I'm calling in daily. What is life without risk? Some may not ever know. I just put my life out on the line daily. That's on a daily. That's on a daily. That's on a daily. That's on a daily. You niggas sheep. I'm a wolf in the wolf's clothing. No need to sneak or creep around at all. About to set this shit off, this a Molotov. Toast our accomplishments, we set the scene ablaze. Shake your pom-poms, I raised the dead up from their graves. Necromancing got them peeping they head up out the way. Safe from drowning, nigga, hella buoyant. Motions call it flow state. All the problems I be gliding over. Some like a roll skate, you niggas bow wow. Life too much, can't take it. Had the roll bounce, getting tossed around, hacky sagging. Can you hack it? Don't choke. I'm ramping up production on the gas while you smelling all the smoke. Give a toast to my side. Now I'm that's higher self. Hit the DMT and me, God. That's higher self. What is life without risk? I just won't stay in my flow. Abundance is what I'm calling in daily. What is life without risk? Some may not ever know. I just put my life out on the line daily. That's on a daily. That's on a daily. That's on a daily. That's on a daily. Yeah, you niggas swine. Me and my wolves, we fine dine. Show up when we want, run the clock out. Used to worry about time. You know shit is divine. Accidents be still on purpose, perfect intertwine. Always keep it balanced when it's cold, I wear long johns. Silver is the name of the game, need more gold coins. Shiva, let it rain, let it pour. Om stream clean, Mahalakshmi Namaha. All the dreams I have, I done lived them all before. Get to talking nightmares, I'm the biggest demon of them all. I ain't afraid of death. Shadow work, my favorite of them all. Don't get gang involved, gurus be the ones in charge. Bow down to divine self within. Second sun got me charged up. Check my melanin. What is life without risk? I just won't stay on my flow. Abundance is what I'm calling in daily. What is life without risk? Some may not ever know. I just put my life out on the line daily. That's on a daily. That's on a daily.